Hello YouTube, my name is Venator, and I hope you all are having a wonderful weekend. In today's video, we are back on Petit Pieds in a server, growing our first Allosaurus of the new update. This dino got a few tweaks recently. Its turn radius is better, and they've adjusted some of the attacks. Supposedly, it does a little bit more bleed damage. But overall, I think this dino is still pretty difficult to grow because with the addition of Kentro and Dilo's clones working, there's a lot more things that can take this guy down now. And jumping right into the grow, the first thing I had to do was find some bones. That way I could induce that vomit sickness and empty my stomach. And then after that, my very next task is I gotta fill up my water before finding my next meal. So while I still had this sickness effect, I made my way down to Landslide Lake where I could fill up my water for free. If you know where to drink at this spot, it's essentially impossible to be grabbed by a Deinosuchus here, so I always try and make sure and drink in places like this. That way, you don't ever really have to risk getting grabbed by a croc. But once I got my water filled up, it was back over to my spawn area in the West Rail jungle to look for my first meal. And it didn't take too long. As you can see, my stomach is basically completely empty. And that's where I met up with my buddy Riley. He had already had a little bit of a head start on me, but that will change later as you guys are going to see. Anyway, finding this Dibble corpse, I was able to fill up my hunger completely and get those diets nice and high. Unfortunately though, my plan there, well, kind of failed, because as I was eating, I crashed. So yes, the classic bug of when you turn a corpse to bones and it causes you or players in the vicinity to crash is still healthy and alive in the game. Thankfully though, I was able to get back in and meet back up with my buddy Riley, and our other friend Seawick had joined us as well. So now we had our 3 stack. And we had found a corpse that still had all the organs in it, so I was still able to get my diets high and get that perfect diet. And that's one prime task completed. After getting our stomachs full and all of us hitting perfect diet, it was time to move on. We wanted to leave the West Rail area because this is a pretty dangerous spot to be in. You don't want to stick around for too long. So we figured might as well head on out and go down to South Plains. Taking the route down Mudflats gets you a lot of your zones done. So after we had most of our zones knocked out, it was time to hit the sanctuary task. And this is where we would be hanging out for the next little while. And I almost just gave away the bank and fell off the cliff right there. That would have been very unfortunate. Luckily, I was able to walk back up, run across, and we made our way into the sanctuary. And once you hit this 100 kilo point, that's when you really want to make sure that you stay around food, because you're going to grow really quick. Your main growth spurt is basically between 100 and 1,000. And that's when you're going to really put on the pounds and your hunger is going to drop really quick. And the South Plains Sanctuary is a great spot to hunt. It's very large, and even though I'm past the point where the bees can hit me, there's a lot of area to work around the bees and get plenty of prey. Here, I was going for this Dryo, but he went off the cliff and I wasn't about to follow that. I found my way down and, well, I lost the Dryo, but I found something else to attack. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Why kill the PT? Well, PTs are an absolute menace now. If you guys watched my last video, they are an absolute menace to juvies in the sanctuary. So I just had to do my part and take this guy out. And as a Deinosuchus main, food is food. And when you're in this growing spurt of an Allo, the same premise applies. Doesn't have to be diet. Not starving is the name of the game. And not too long after that, we found a baby dibble. These little potatoes are the perfect size snack for a growing pack of Allos. But they're not the easiest kills. Baby dibbles pack a punch. And unbeknownst to us, this guy had a buddy. And even though I'm, or at least it appears like I'm significantly bigger than one of those dibbles, his hits still do quite a bit of damage. Lucky for us though, we were able to get one of them down at least, so we let the other two just bugger off into the sanctuary. It was at this point where I decided to stop testing my luck, because if I kept it up, I was probably going to be dead. And if you guys have noticed how Riley Boy is now smaller than me, well, he unfortunately took a little death off screen, but he was able to get another spawn in South Plains and joined us real quick. Sadly though, that wouldn't last for long. While I was eating, and we were trying to keep other baby Allos off of our food, a small Carno seemingly came out of nowhere and just one-shot my boy. And, well, at that point, he had had enough fun for the day, and it was just up to me and Seawig to finish out this grow. But I wasn't going to let that kill go unanswered. So I immediately went on the hunt for that smaller Carno. Now granted, I'm getting to the size where it was getting very difficult to move around this sanctuary, and I was essentially going after anything that moved. Right there, I saw something small and thought it was the Carno. I tried to give chase, got stuck in the trees yet again, and then I was just pouncing at anything that moved, and I erroneously jumped on one of my own. I hopped off, told him my bad, and moved on. Finding the Carno, and seeing that he was already pounced by something, I thought it would be an easy kill, and I didn't want to yeet myself off this cliff, so I didn't really go for a pounce here. I was going to try and get him down with bites, but it just didn't work, and he went right off the cliff, and I wasn't about to follow that. So at that point, just accepted my loss, and Seawick and I had to move on, because as you can tell, I'm dangerously low on water. Lucky for us though, there is a very nice and safe drinking spot in the South Plains area. Now, I'm not going to show you guys where this is at. If you know, you know. And after filling up our water, heading back to South Plains, I finally hit 50% and got my second mutation. I took slower hunger drain for my first because it's very useful in surviving that growth phase where you go from 100 to 1,000, and for my second, I took bleed resistance because as an Allo, I expect I'll be fighting or running from some Kentros and just want to buff that bleed stat as best you can. Here, found a little Carno and honestly thought that guy was going to run off. So I just gave up the chase rather quick to head back to Seawick. Lo and behold, well, he came right back for me. Not sure what he was thinking, but that was a huge mistake. Now that I hit that alt attack and a bite on him, he had a serious bleed going. And he was running right back to my buddy Seawick. Which turns out he was big enough to stun Seawick, but I guess he got a little overzealous or realized that I was going to run him down. So he turned back around and tried to continue the fight. Turned out that was a pretty big mistake. But hey, food is food, even if the Carno is not on our diet. And yes, had to finish him with a pin. I just really get frustrated trying to chase down Carnos. Anything faster than you, that's really the bread and butter for the Allo pin. You're going to see later on, tried not to use the pin very much when we start fighting some larger things. I've really been trying to practice using the claw attacks, but I mean, as you guys are going to see, I'm by no means a land dino pro, and it's tough to land some of these alt claw swipes. It's a little funky on how the mechanic works. And then again here, trying to run down this Patchy. He's faster than me, so my only hope was to get a pin on him. And luckily he took the opportunity to bonk my boy, and well, that was a mistake. Because once you get him pinned, your buddy can just come up and finish him off rather quick, like we did right here. And at 1,400 kilos, we're getting to a nice fighting size. This is personally kind of my favorite stage of Allo because you're still fast enough to run and chase things down or run away from bigger things. Once you become a prime Allo and you start to slow down, life gets pretty difficult. But moving on, we finally found our first big target. As we were making our way through the jungles near West Rail, we came across a lone Triceratops. Or at least at first we thought he was alone. But either way, I hope you guys enjoy this fight. As you guys are going to see, like I said earlier, I am not the most proficient with the claw swipes, but this was good practice and got pretty lucky in this fight. I mean, you guys are going to see this trike had a few opportunities to easily kill me. But hey, that's what the Isle is all about. And at this point, since my stamina was getting low and I had taken a hit or two, seeing that second trike showed up, I figured I might as well go ahead and lay down and heal up a little bit, get my bleed to stop, and get some stamina back. We'd gotten enough hits on that Triceratops that we were pretty confident that he would die from his bleed. And the strategy now, since we had such a heavy bleed going on him, all Seawick had to do was just be distracting and keep him up and moving around. And since Seawick had done much better in the fight and not taken several erroneous hits like I did, it was pretty straightforward. And then finally, just like that, he eventually bled out, and we secured our first large kill. And honestly, we debated on going for this guy, but since I still am pretty novice at the whole Allosaurus and claw swiping attack scheme, I didn't really want to press our luck. We had a meal, so our goal now was just to lead this guy off away from the body. Not even sure if he was friends with him or if he just happened to show up. But either way, just wanted to get away from him and go down there and secure our meal and fill up our stomachs. But this guy was being pretty persistent, and I didn't want to just risk getting caught on the body or getting stuck in an eating animation. Since I needed some stam, I figured I'd go over here to the bush, get my stam back, and let this Triceratops tucker himself out and hope he'd move on. And sure enough, he finally did. After about 5-10 minutes, the meal was finally ours. And these organs would do wonders on getting our diets pumped up. And after growing for a bit, we moved over to West Rail, where we came across a pack of Sarahs. And unbeknownst to us, there was also some Kentros in the area. So this turned into kind of one big battle royale. But we were here and going after the Sarahs. As you can see, me just missing my claw swipes left and right. Land a few, maybe a little friendly fire, but that's part of it, and we were determined. But after killing the Sarahs, I completely forgot about the Kentros. And if you guys haven't experienced the joy that is running from a Kentro, well, this is it. And this is why it's kind of frustrating to play as a larger Allo, because Kentros can just run you down. And since they do reflective damage, unless you're a full 3 stack of Allos and it's a lone or 2 Kentros, there's not much you can do about a squad of 3 Kentros that are just as fast, if not faster than you. And all I could do here was try to lose them in the bush. My buddy Seawick, he had already found a hiding spot and was in the clear, but seeing I was so low on stamina and seeing as how good a friend he is, he took one for the team and came out and helped try and distract them to see if I could escape, because I was nearly on 0 stamina. I was resorting to just trying to crouch in bushes like you can see here and escape. Since it was so dark and rainy, I was hoping that the vision would be on my side. But these Kentros weren't giving up. As you can see, he found me right there, and I got lucky that he just couldn't judge his distance, because that swing probably would have been the end of me. Anyway, I was able to put enough distance between them and myself, and unfortunately they did get my boy Seawick, and so this is where I decided to call it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time when we pick up on this Allosaurus's incredible journey. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and happy hunting.